See, when I wanted to be a ventriloquist, I had no way of learning. There was no internet, there were no instruction courses. That was before I found the Mayo course. But I loved ventriloquism so much that I thought, that's something I could do to further our art, is to make it easier for people to learn. Now, you have to understand, at that time in Germany, the very few ventriloquists who were out there performing didn't want anyone to know that you can learn ventriloquism. In fact, most of the little scripts that were sold through the magic dealers were written in a way that it was impossible to learn ventriloquism from it. It is like when you go to a lady who makes great apple pie and you ask her for the recipe, and she gives you the recipe, but she doesn't tell you all the spices because she wants to keep that secret to herself. It never tastes the same like when mom does it. So, and I befriended a couple of professional ventriloquists, and when they found out that I was preparing a vent course, one of them didn't want to be my friend anymore. I was best man at his wedding. He said, if you teach others, we're finished. I said, but that's wrong. I've been to America. I think there are good ventriloquists. There couldn't be enough. It's not a matter of competition. They will all be different. Look at how many magicians there are. Look how many guitar players or singers there are. And as it's attributed to Toscanini, who said, tradition is about passing on the torch and not about worshipping the ashes. If we want to keep our art form alive, we have to teach it, we have to tell people. And I think it doesn't take away from the appreciation of how good a ventriloquist you are, if people know, yes, you have to learn. Some people say, oh, can you learn ventriloquism? I say, no, you have to. If someone says, oh, I woke up one morning, I could find out, I noticed I threw my voice. I called myself out of school class. I said, it's bullshit, it's rubbish.
Yeah.
You may have a talent, and most of the talent will be that you enjoy practicing. And some find it more difficult than others to master it, to get it down. But of course you have to learn, it can be taught. And actually, I don't think ventriloquism is that hard to learn. If you think how many hours people spend and pay for before they can play tennis or golf or the violin or guitar or, singing for that matter. If you want your child to be a piano player on a stage-worthy level, you have to put in hours a day and lessons over years. Nobody expects to just buy, a DVD or a vent course or, a piano course and go through that in 3 hours and that's it. So I think ventriloquism isn't that hard, but not everybody needs to learn it. Why? I mean, I can't play golf. Why should I? I don't have to. I mean, I can be a happy man without that. Right. And same with ventriloquism. But again, like I said, people didn't approve of the idea of sharing the fact that you can learn ventriloquism, that you have to learn it and how to learn it. So I organized a weekend course where I would offer people to learn about ventriloquism, and learn about ventriloquism. That was before the days of the internet, so people had never seen a live ventriloquist. So in my courses, people came who wanted to know, how does this work? And there were those who wanted to know and learn. And that changed over the years. I've done, I think 35 or 38 vent courses over the years at different levels of beginners and then advanced and then people who had a stage show. But the basic idea was to tell them what is the secret of ventriloquism and how do you do it. And that the format is a weekend course from Saturday morning to Sunday afternoon. And the formula is, at the end of those 2 days, you're not a complete ventriloquist. You can't be. And we say, we pack your saddlebags and you have to ride yourself. Mm-hmm. But you'll find everything you need in these saddlebags. Mm-hmm. Like there's no secret you have to pay for on the next level. We tell them, and we show them exercises they can do with, lip control and voice differentiation, how to find a good ventriloquial voice, and how to find a vent partner, a vent figure. When they come to my weekend courses, we always used all the puppets in the dummy depot. They could pick a friend for the weekend and then
What is the Dummy Depot?
What is the Dummy Depot? The Dummy Depot was started with by Captain Dick, by Dick Whiteman in Seattle, Washington, long time ago. And that was a time, again, long before the internet, when ventriloquial figures were only sold and bought at specific instances. For example, a ventriloquist had an expensive figure and he needed money because his car broke down, or he had dental work to pay. And he would have to let go of his figure. And if he didn't find anyone who wanted to buy it, he would have to let the figure go for very little money. And on the other hand, if someone needed a professional event figure and there was no way of knowing, like today with eBay or whatever, where they are, then he would have to pay an outrageous amount of money for it. So Captain Dick said the Dummy Depot buys and sells vent figures to level out that market. It's a contemporary time for vent figures to find a new home. And he did that for a number of years. And then when he wanted to, not do it anymore, we got to talk, and I bought the Dummy Depot with a couple of inmates and the name to the website, dummydepot.com, and it became the Deutsches Dummy Depot. So I bought and sold vent figures, and also at that time I was a registered dealer for the Axtel company. So because in Germany people didn't have that much experience with credit cards and dealing internationally, and they didn't want to go through the hassle of customs and stuff. So I imported Axtel figures to Germany. Took orders and got them through customs and so that. So and a lot of good Van Wisselberg figures, Joe Felix head, hard figure stuff. Quite a few figures went through the Dummy Depot. And that got me in touch with the ventriloquists who were performing in Europe, who had no connection to the vent community at Vent Haven, people who do theaters and variety shows and cruises. So there are a few ventriloquists out there who've never been at a convention. It's not that every ventriloquist knows about or does want to know. Because, like I said, some of them think that the less ventriloquists there are, the easier their life as professionals would be. And I think that's sad, because there's so much unexplored and so much variety still out there.
Absolutely. What is your technique as a ventriloquist?
My technique?
Mm-hmm.
It's bad. It sucks. What technique?
How do you teach your technique?
Oh, teach. Simply, the first thing is awareness. The goal. It's the goal. There is no one way to achieve the goal. The goal is set. Have the figure talk without my moving the lips. And it's different in each language because you have different sounds in each language. So the first step is breathing, telling them how to breathe. And then the next thing is to say, okay, there are a lot of things you can say without moving your lips. And I have a couple of phrases that you can, with no difficult language, like a song. I tell people when you ride in the car and you got the music on, think of the name of the song and try to sing along. And you will find song titles that can be said without moving your lips, like Strangers in the Night. There are no hard Strangers in the Night. It's very easy because there are no B's, P's, F's, M's involved. Mm-hmm. So get your awareness about that. And then I teach them about, substitute letters and also avoid. It's so easy to avoid. Mm-hmm. So when you ask your figure, what cars do you fancy? It's not a good idea to have him say BMW. Why? If he wants a fast car, he's not going to drive a Porsche. Why should we? It's not necessary. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I get the students to think. What's a sports car that's easy to say? Yeah, and then they come up and say, oh yeah, I know one. So it's Maserati. Then, no, think again. That's the M in it. And then they say, okay, Jaguar and Jaguar. It's good, it's Jaguar, easy. Or the vowels go without moving the lips. Most of the consonants do. So we do that. And then we talk about different ways to get the sound right without moving your lips. And one way in Germany is, for example, for the F sound, you can use the TH because there is no TH in German. The Spanish have it. The Spanish have the lisp, And in English, you have a the. But in German, there is no the sound. So by using the th, our ear wants to understand what someone is saying. And when it hears the th, it converts it. Our German brain converts it to a v, as if someone has a lisp. And after a while, you don't realize it's a lisp. You hear what they are saying, although they are not. You know what I say? I didn't say. I said say. But you heard that I said something. And your brain gets to the nearest stop where they want to understand. So that's one way in German to say, use the th, because it cannot be interpreted other than an S sound. And with the P, it took me a long time to work out a good method to teach the P's and B's. Mm-hmm. But I found a very good way, and that's the tongue goes to the top of the... I explain how a P sound is created, because you have to stop the airflow.
How is that? How would you explain how that's created?
I said it's when you well, one way to, if people don't understand it academically, I can make a drawing, but also try to say P like that, and you can't. You sense it. There's no, a P is not possible if you don't close your lips.
Right.
Right? So, talk like this, and you find out very quickly which letters don't work, because you cannot make them. You cannot make an M without closing your
right.
So that gets the awareness. You say, no, we have to create something with our behind the teeth, and with the P, you take your tongue and you close it as though you close it with your lips, just behind the teeth. Or teeter. You say teeter. It's a P and not a T. And then you make them feel, where does the tongue touch the palate on a T, and where does it touch the palate on a P? Teeter, teeter. And I have this part of my act in German where I tell the audience that it's not that difficult. All you have to do is avoid the P's. And that's why his name is Theo. And then he says, und nicht Täter. I can do that in German, if I can't access my German brain. So, also Bauchreden ist gar nicht so schwierig. Es kommt nur darauf an, dass sie den Buchstaben P vermeiden. Und deswegen heißt er ja auch Theo und nicht Täter. Na, pass auf, das ist meine Zeile. Ich sag, du heißt nicht Peter, denn da ist das P drin und du kannst das nicht sagen, dann müsste ich meine Lippen bewegen. Also, das ist Theo und nicht Täter. Pass auf. Und was möchtest du denn gerne? Also, what do you want to drink? And just, I don't know. Well, we said you're going to say gin tonic. Okay, gin tonic is wonderful because it's got no different letters. It says, I hate gin tonic. I want a Pils. And says, what do you want to eat? And he says, cheese. Käse. Käse is wonderful. Käse. And tomatoes. That's wonderful. On a pizza. No. Now we go into this pizza routine about pepperoni pizza and stuff. And he gives me all these hard P words. But I have told the audience that I can't say P. I cannot say P. And so that's just rehearsed to show them that I have good lip control. Peter, title, tickle, tickle. And then I teach the students. I show them video and I show them how I do it. It doesn't matter how you do it. You can find your individual method. There are different ways. You can bite on a pencil and keep your jaws from moving. And then you feel it on your finger when your jaws want to move.
Oh.
And then you can train that. Or some people, by the way their teeth are lined up, you can just lock your jaw, which is not quite natural.
Right.
But some people do, especially if you're a good-looking girl.
Right.
Yeah. Smile all the time, and
all the pageant ventriloquists.
Yeah. And that's a good exercise. I tell people, and that's why brushing your teeth is one of the first bits. I tell people, it's people are blown away when you can brush your teeth and still do ventriloquism. They think it's very difficult. It's very easy. If you lock your lips, then they can't move. So it's very easy to
Yeah.
practice that way.
Yeah.
So that's exercise. And I also tell them, because the voice is a muscle, there are tiny, tiny, tiny microscopic muscles involved on the vocal cords. Don't overdo it. Don't strain them. It's better to practice, 5 times 3 minutes, better than 15 minutes and in one piece. And how to take care of your vocal cords. Now, so we talk about that, and then we do this exercise. We start. Everybody gets in front of a mirror, or they have the mirror, and they have to say a few silly sentences with no hard letters, just to make sure that they get a feeling for, when do my lips move. 9 hohen Kohlen. Ich esse gerne Käse. Ich esse gerne Käse. I love eating cheese. It's a silly sentence, doesn't mean. Ich esse gerne Käse. And you can extend and say, ich trinke gerne Gin Tonic. I like to drink gin tonic. There's not a single difficult letter in I like to drink gin tonic. Mm-hmm. But still, you can move your lips. I like to drink gin tonic. But they have to get aware of that's the way you want to do it. So, and we work it from there. And then the final goal is that they can say anything they want. Mm-hmm. But there are ventriloquists out there who don't want to be interviewed, who don't go on television. They only do their act. And every line is scripted and rehearsed, and it's okay. But my way of thinking is it's much more fun to be able to communicate with Theo and with myself, and not be afraid of a specific words. But if I can avoid a difficult word, I will.
Sure.
Like I said, why should he want to have what's your favorite movie actress? Why should he say Brigitte Bardot? He can take Claudia Cardinale from that time frame. It's to the audience it's the same thing.
Right. Well, and also when you're improvising with a figure, it's nice to be able to have that vocabulary, so you don't have to worry about words you have to avoid.
Exactly. That's why I said you have to have the technique down, mm-hmm. and you have to be aware of it and practice it. But that's not the skill. Or like Jeff Dunham said, you can amuse them, you can amaze them for 20 minutes, you can amuse them for a lifetime. Mm-hmm. So the idea is to have ventriloquism amusing rather than amazing. Mm-hmm. And that translates to German. It has to be nicht verblüffen, sondern vergnügen. It's all. And what would be funny or entertaining about someone who can speak without moving their lips? Okay. So what do you do with it? If it wasn't for the act of ventriloquism, the illusion that the audience wants to buy, then what's the point of not moving your lips when you're talking?
Who inspires you?
Well, who still to this day, the one ventriloquist that I admire is Edgar Bergen. Mm-hmm. The way Charlie McCarthy comes to life. And Charlie only had this slot job, mm-hmm. except for this one version that they used for one of the movies. But here, all it took him to get this real personality of Charlie McCarthy together was his craft of manipulating the figure and voice and material. So to me, that's still, if you ask me what's the one act that I think is the perfect act, it would be the act that Ron Lucas showed on Paul Daniels' Christmas special on TV a long time ago. To me, that is in a 7 or 9 minute thing. That's the perfect venting. It has bits, the out of sync bit, the blowing the balloon, mm-hmm. singing row, row, row your boat.
Yes.
So he's got a callback, he's got a distant voice, he's got a running gag. So to me, in a nutshell, that has all the ingredients for a great family-oriented, very funny bit. You can watch it over and over and over again. And in another venue, in another context, probably the best vent act I've ever seen was Sammy King. Mm-hmm. With the parrot, don't touch my feet.
Yes.
That's it. It's so simple and it's so effective, and it's performed when Sammy did it. It was so polished and so refined. It blew me away. The more often I saw it, the more I loved it, mm-hmm. and loved Sammy King too. But because he was great with all his experience. He worked the Crazy Horse in Paris. He worked big venues in Europe, and Vegas for an enormous amount of. So he's done this act, I think 20,000 times in his life, and the act changed very, very little. And it doesn't have to, because it's kind of perfect. So those are the things that stick out for me.
And what amazes me is, as many times as he's done it, he's always in the moment.
Yes.
You know.
And I said one day, Sammy, do you still have stage fright? Having done that act, more than 20,000 times. And he said, the moment I find out that I don't have stage fright, I'll quit. So I have this moment of stage fright right before I start. And once I start, I can think, well, did I lock the car in the car park? What do I'm going to go? He's on automatic. He's on auto drive. That's for sure. But he said, still getting this moment of, do I connect with the audience? Am I in the moment? Am I here? He still had that to the very performance he did. And that's important to understand if you want to be a ventriloquist who goes out and performs in front of audience and wants to connect to your audience. Like even for tonight, for at the Venfest, I don't know this audience. I've never been to Indiana. I don't know what Spencer, Indiana crowds are like. And it's my obligation to find out and to feel it, and not rely on anybody else. Know your audience, know what they expect, know what they can understand, and that way, serve that purpose, and don't be the other way around. I'm the star, and they have to see if they like me or not. No, it's my obligation on stage. They paid for a ticket to do my best, and also know the audience, know what goes and what doesn't. What will they understand? What is it that they won't understand? They won't understand the word because I do my show in German.
What advice do you have for our students that are just now learning ventriloquism going forward?
Enjoy, have fun. It's a fun thing. It's like a journey, and one goal, one destination. But when you find that your train has stops on the way, get off the train, enjoy, go back on the train, and get closer to your destination, and you will reach it. And then the destination is feel confident and find your own way of expressing yourself. And in the Vent community, you will find many, many very nice and very pleasant people to help you to reach your destination and use ventriloquism to express yourself and further the ancient art form of ventriloquism. So our art form has a future, which it does. I'm looking at one right now.
Thank you for being part of Ventriloquist University.
Thank you.